Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Veryn and I am here today to dive into my witchy journal with you all and talk about how I'm working with my Wheel of the Year. If you're new here, as I said, my name is Veryn and I am obsessed with journaling. And I use my journaling to explore tarot, astrology, personal development, pretty much anything you can think of. I like to journal about it, especially as the cornerstone of my life and my spiritual practice. And that's what I like to talk about here on this channel. If that sounds, as I just slightly adjust the camera, like the kind of thing you would enjoy, then I hope you will hit the subscribe button and stay tuned here. Today I wanted to talk to you about my Wheel of the Year, and this is a video I've been kind of anticipating doing for a while, but well, up until just very recently, I didn't really have my Wheel of the Year practice fully solidified. I'm a practicing witch and I've been trying to work with the Wheel of the Year for a while. And there were certain things that always worked, and everything else was a little squishy and weird. And so I think I've come to something that works, at least for me, at least for right now. And like many, many things in my life, it is because of astrology that I got it all sorted out. So into my journal, here is the spread in question that we're going to be talking about. So I realized, and if you've noticed, yeah, I still have on green sleeves. I'm apparently just doing a bunch of filming today. And so this is now like the third video I have filmed. So, yeah, that's the thing. We're going with it. Anyways, as I mentioned, in my life, I've learned over the years that astrology is really a container that I use for pretty much everything in my world. I use astrology to build the thing that like I do the tarot with it. One of the first realizations I had with the Wheel of the Year, which I've always tried to use, was about the solstices and the equinoxes. So if you're unfamiliar with the Wheel of the Year, there's Ostara, Beltane, Litha, Lammas, otherwise known as Lunasa, Mabon, Samhain, Yule, and Imbolc. And I've always wanted to have a Wheel of the Year practice, but I've never quite found one that worked because I wasn't quite getting it. And the reason I call astrology a container in my life is because essentially, once I figure out the astrology of something, it kind of stays in my life for forever, and I just kind of keep it with me. The first thing I realized was the solstices and the equinoxes are associated with Ostara, Litha, Mabon, and Yule, respectively, starting with the spring equinox, which is Ostara, the summer solstice, which is Litha, the autumnal equinox, which is Mabon, and the winter solstice, which is Yule. So, and those things were things that were easier for me to come to terms with and kind of start integrating into a regular practice. For a while, what I was doing was I would just pull a reading for each season, like each Wheel of the Year. So once I would pull a reading on Ostara, I'd pull a reading on Beltane, I'd pull a reading on Litha, and I really liked that, but I never kind of did anything with it. And that was the part that really bothered me more. And so I've been setting out trying to fix it and trying to do more actively in my life in general. And then the other part that made this all come together, eventually, it took some time for it to kind of like crystallize, was several years ago, I think it would have been 2020, when I had the Astrocal Moon Diary, I realized there was a day where on one of the little like daily squares, it said, the sun is at 15 degrees Taurus, the official astrological day of Beltane. And I was like, wait a minute, there's astrology associated with the whole of the Wheel of the Year. And I kind of simmered with this information and then recently put it together, because what happened was these started to get released. The Seasons of the Witch Oracle decks, which I adore. I have all 5. I have both Litha and Lammas on pre-order. And the only one that is left after that is Ostara, which isn't available on pre-order yet. Believe me, I will be getting the Ostara one, because I am actually an Ostara, I'm an Ostara season person. My birthday's on March 30th. So I was born during Ostara season. Because the other thing that made these come together, so when I got these, I really wanted to, I knew I was going to want all of them, and I really wanted to find a way to use them all. And so I was trying to determine when to switch from one deck to another. I've seen some people do it in different ways. Like I believe Lisa Papez has talked about starting using the deck on the official day and then using it. So like for the Samhain deck, using this on Samhain on October 31st, from then onward until Yule, which would be December 21st. I've seen a couple different ways, and I liked some of the ideas, but they never quite worked. What I was trying to do for a while was getting it to fit with the chart, with astrology, with the 12 signs. But 8 and 12 are different numbers. They don't quite go evenly together unless you split the 12 signs. And this is kind of where I came to the remembering that, seeing that thing in the AstroCal Moon Diary that said the sun is at 15 degrees of Taurus. This is the astrological day of Beltane. So I decided that I would use this and I would just create my own Wheel of the Year, which I'd first heard of this idea in Kellyanne Maddox's first book, Rebel Witch. The idea of just kind of creating your own spiritual practice, I love. And so I took all the pieces. This is very recently I did this. I took all the pieces and I fit them together and I created this beautiful spread, and I am so excited. So let's talk about what I do to observe the Wheel of the Year. The Wheel of the Year for me is mostly about getting and being and staying in touch and in tune with the earth upon which I live and grow and breathe and etc. It's nurturing my body, my mind, my soul, my spirit through connection to the earth, which makes a lot of sense because the earth element in astrology, it's a supportive element. It's a nurturing element along with water, whereas fire and air are the active elements. So I am such an earth baby. I've always been. It's not necessarily that I have a ton of earth in my chart. It's not that I have a ton of earth in my chart, but I've always loved connecting with the earth. And I do have some earth in my chart, but I just, I love connecting with the earth. Any hoodle. Sorry. So anyways, if this was a weird cut, I'm very sorry, but I was getting a message about some stuff and my brain, anywho. So I very much love the earth and resonate strongly with the earth and all of that. I've always been a very seasonal person. And so it was very important for me to use the seasons. And that very much feels like working seasonally and then working by the Wheel of the Year. And then also all of this feels very connected. So I just connected it. So I have here how it started was I decided to use my I decided, like, I wanted this to be about seasonal work and to be about, like, well, sorry, I'm trying to think of how to explain. So I like to work seasonally, and within each season, spring, summer, fall, winter, there's the wheel of the year. And then within the wheel of the year, there's the wheel of astrology. So what I did here was I put my chart in the middle because I want this to be in reference to me because it's my work. So for example, if you wanted to recreate this yourself, like change it up and make it personal and yours so it's not a straight copy, because this part is personal for me. So, but what would look different is where it all lined up. I'm a Cancer rising sign, so Cancer goes on this axis, and Cancer is associated with the summer solstice. So I lined up my chart in that way, and it goes counterclockwise. And then this inner circle, I wrote like keywords for what the houses of the astrology chart are. I'm a professional astrologer. It is my job. I know astrology stuff. So like, if you're new to this, this is slightly advanced. You can always check out my link in the description box and book a session with me and we can go over your chart. But like, bear in mind that I do study and practice astrology professionally and personally, and have been doing this in a dedicated way for an extended period of time. So, you know, so I put my chart. These are the keywords of the houses. And then these little glyphs here is where I have placements so I can see. So for example, Imbolc, I have nothing going on in Imbolc. I have a lot that goes on here in Ostara. And then, and actually technically speaking, let's see. I'm trying to remember if actually I can check here. My Taurus is just barely still in Ostara. Or my Venus sign. I have Venus in Taurus. Any hoodles. Brain, hello. So, I took the fact, so I put the chart in, and then I took the fact that that it said in that AstroCal that when the sun is at 15 degrees Taurus, Beltane season starts. Like, this is the astrological point of Beltane. And the other important thing is I like to work things in periods of time more so than stringent specific days. So I look at things as like a time block as opposed to like this day. So some people will say Ostara is a specific day and celebrate it at a specific day. And I do that. And also, it is the start of Ostara season. And doing it this way does change some of the specific days. So we'll get to that. So the astrological new year starts with Aries. So we're going to start here with Ostara. So this year, this calendar year, on March 19th Eastern Time, the sun entered Aries. That is when the spring equinox is when the sun enters Aries. And that's the beginning of Ostara season. So, and that goes until the sun is at 15 degrees of Taurus. So I divided Taurus. I made sure it was 15 degrees and I drew the line. Beltane season starts at 15 degrees Taurus and goes until all the way through Gemini season. When the sun enters Cancer, that is when the summer solstice is. And that is when Litha is. And Litha season begins. And that goes until 15 degrees of Leo, which starts us off of Lammas and takes us through Leo, the remainder of Leo, and all of Virgo season. when the sun enters the sign of Libra, it is the autumnal equinox, and it begins Mabon. And that goes until halfway through Scorpio, 15 degrees, when Samhain starts. This is Samhain season. We'll come back and talk about specific dates in a second. And then Samhain season goes from 15 degrees Scorpio all the way through all of Sagittarius season. And then on roughly December 21st, that's when it is here. I have all the dates. At least this year, it's going to be December 21st. When the sun enters Capricorn, that's what begins Yule. And that goes halfway through Aquarius season. And when the sun is at 15 degrees Aquarius, Imbolc begins, and it goes until the sun next enters Aries and Ostara season begins again. So we have even 45 degrees of the wheel of the year. So like the astrological wheel, each season, each wheel of the year holiday gets 45 degrees, and the way it lines up is the summer, the spring, the equinoxes and the solstices always line up with when the sun enters the cardinal sign of that season. Cancer is the cardinal sign of summer, so it's summer solstice. Libra is fall, Capricorn is winter, Aries is spring. That's in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it would be flipped. So I did record the dates of this. So I went through and I put the seasons indicated in my calendar so we can track it. I'm going to do a separate video that shows my astrology calendar that I use to reference all of the things in my practice, because like I said, I work with blocks of time. So stay tuned for that. I'm probably going to film that today as well. And that'll be filming using my tablet. So stay tuned for that and we'll take a look at that. Because I wanted to have them go together, I color coordinated. So the springs I put in like pink colors, summer in green, fall in like fiery colors, and winter in blues. So what I have here is there's a few different elements that go on. First, I did the spring. I decided to use my Roots and Wings Oracle deck. Which I got from Lisa when she got rid of it. And I decided to use this and just pull 3 cards for Energy, Obstacle, and Advice is my standard 3-card spread for the season itself, for spring, for summer, for fall, for winter. And I made the whole thing go clockwise because that's how the wheel of the year, or that's how like the astrology wheel goes. And the whole point was lining everything up with the astrology so that way I can work with it. So this deck is beautiful. It's extraordinarily earthy, and I got the idea to use it and I just loved it. So I pulled a 3-card reading for each season: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And then I decided to pull, I wanted to go back to using my Witch's Wisdom Tarot, which is right here, and I'll show you that in a minute, with the Wheel of the Year readings, which I used to do and I really loved it. So, but I decided to do it like how I do my year ahead spread. And I decided I would pull a main energy card for that season, and I'd pull it all ahead of time. And I timed it for Ostara season, and that's probably when I'll do it again, because Ostara Aries is the beginning of the astrological new year. And because I like astrology so much, I kind of wanted to observe that in some way, and pulling my year ahead spread for that really makes sense. So this will be my active spread until next March, until a year from now. I'm still using my year ahead spread, but this is giving me a different kind of thing. So I pulled a card for each season. And I color coordinated, as I mentioned. And then the thing is, when I come to each season, so I've already done Ostara, we'll come back to that. So when it comes on May 5th, will be the start of Beltane season. And that's when I will do a reading for Beltane. So for Ostara season, for the cardinal signs, for the equinoxes and the solstices, I'm going to do them the day the sun enters the sign. And then the other ones, I'm going to do them on the date according to the calendar, which will be a few days ahead. So Beltane is these days colloquially celebrated for May 1st. And I do love that Beltane energy. So I'm going to do the Beltane reading on May 1st, which is totally fine. And then that'll give me a few days of preparation before Beltane season truly starts. August 1st is the day of Lammas or Lunasa. Samhain is October 31st / November 1st. And Imbolc is February 1st. So Ostara, Litha, Mabon, and Yule, which are all the solstices and equinoxes, are day specific to when the sun enters the sign. And then these are the first of the other months. And so when it comes closer, I'm going to do that reading. And then what I do is here. So I have a flip on each side. I have a space for each season so I can write about the 3-card reading that I pulled here. So here's the space where I'll write about this 3-card fall reading, and here's the space where I'll write about this 3-card winter reading. And then a space here for Imbolc, Yule, Samhain, Mabon. On this side, it's Ostara, Beltane, Litha, and Lammas. And that's where I will write my, like a summary of what my bigger reading told me. So here I've already done Ostara. So I did this reading for my spring. And then after I did my Ostara reading, I wrote a jot summary here, and I referenced what pages I did the reading on. This is that Ostara reading. What I decided to do for this, because I'm using the roots and wings, and because the entire thing of working with the Wheel of the Year is so earth-based to me, I decided to use this extremely effective and quite amazing garden spread from the Roots and Wings Oracle for my Wheel of the Year readings. So when it came time to do the Ostara reading, I took this card, I pulled the head, the shaman, and that went in the middle. That became the seed. And then with the Witch's Wisdom Tarot, which is right here. Now I'll show this to you. With the Witch's Wisdom Tarot, I pulled the rest of the positions. So whichever card I pulled ahead becomes the middle, the seed card, and then I pull a card for the soil, the sun, the water, and the weeds. And that's when I use this, which also, not only does this feel very earth-based, and not only is it very earth-based, but this is very witchy. This is very Wheel of the Year. In fact, let me see. Oh, this is one of my absolute favorite star cards ever. Here's a Wheel of the Year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, granted, it's aligned differently, but there's the Wheel of the Year. And it also goes around like this way, which is different, but it is what it is. So I use the Witch's Wisdom Tarot to pull the reading. And then once I do this reading, I do the little summary and I put it in the appropriate spot. How this has turned out so far is that it's giving me a vibe of like, it's giving me a vibe of the season. So here, like here I wrote about spring, where I really feel like I need to root down. I need to create some foundational roots. And for Ostara specifically, this is my overall spring thing. And this will play in some way for Beltane. And for Ostara specifically, the reading I got talked about spending a lot of dedicated time building specific practices in my life, like my practices with my deity, working communion practices, those kinds of things. It's a very deep kind of a vibe going on here. And then the other part of all of this, which I can't show you how it will look, is where I use these. So let me go ahead and just move my journal out of the way. Actually, first let me show you. So I like to use the Seasons of the Witch Oracle decks for keeping me tuned in to the earthly energy on a daily basis. So I've done this for a bit, and I try and do it every day, and I've done it in a couple different iterations. So I was doing this where I would set up 3 on a page, and I would fill them out each day. And what I do, before that though, what I ended up doing was going with this, where each day, depending on how I was feeling, I would do a reading, and it would just take up as much space as it took up. We'll see how this looks once I actually get back there, because I don't have the Ostara Oracle, so I'm currently not doing this practice because I don't have an Ostara Oracle in which to use this practice. But what I use this for, what I use this with, is my Seasons of the Witch Oracle decks, based on whatever season it is. Here's the Yule one. Let's see if I can get them all. I think I will. And I use them with my Wildwood Tarot. Because the thing is, all of these decks have a very similar feeling for me. They all hit on that like super witchy life vibe. And they all feel highly spiritual, highly magical, and deeply earthy. They hit all the kind of important points that make up my spiritual practice for me. So what I do is, let's go backwards. I use the decks and also too the backs of these decks. That's what I get for piling everything. The backs of these decks are incredible. So what I do is I pull my cards, and roughly every day I pull an Seasons of the Witch Oracle card based on what season I'm in. So the next one I'll be using is this one, the Beltane one. Truth be told, I'm very excited for when I get to start using it. But I've got a ways yet. I got to get through all of next month. I pull, this is the energy card, and then an obstacle and an advice. And that is how I do a daily reading to every day, roughly speaking, because it's not a perfect practice. A very important thing for me in my practice is giving myself the grace to sometimes know that I'm not going to do a reading every single day. But I love doing a 3-card energy obstacle advice reading to kind of set the tone for the day and see how I'm feeling. It kind of helps me like check in with my mental health and my spiritual health and get myself going. So that's the Beltane one. And this is why I have it marked in my calendar. So that way I can I'm just randomly showing combos here. I can see when it's time to switch from using one deck to another. This is the Yule one. And now I know these aren't a perfect match art style wise, but the vibe is immaculate together in my humble opinion, and it's my practice, so my opinion is the one that matters. This is the Imbolc one that I just used, so it's got a bit of a warp because I've been shuffling it, but that's fine. And the Imbolc one is quite phenomenal. I pulled that peppermint card a lot. It's annoying. I'm hoping with some rest time that maybe the warp will go away, but we shall see. And the thing I really love too is that like look at the backs. They're so cool. They're all slightly different things. I do like that we've, as the creation of these decks has gone on, they've definitely evolved. Because here it was hands, and then they've become different seasonal things, like candles for Imbolc, which is a perfect symbol. And then bees for Beltane. And then the last one, Mabon. This is one of my favorites, quite honestly. It also has a bit of a warp because I've actually shuffled it and used it. And it's got the like crows on the back. And so I did use the Mabon fairly regularly. And then I used the Yule one a bit on and off. Actually, I don't think I actually really used the Yule one. But then I picked it back up for the Imbolc one. Because when I did the Mabon one, I was still using the Witch's Wisdom as the cards. And it just wasn't quite right. And I like using it a lot better with the Wildwood Tarot. And so that's what has developed of my seasonal practice. Just give me a second to quickly, I'm going to speed up the video and put this stuff away. I love the colors. I cannot wait. I'm so excited for the Litha one. Oh, I should actually check when that's going to be shipping. Just give me a second to sort this out. Okay, so that's what makes up my Wheel of the Year practice. It's kind of got, where is it? Here you go. So it's kind of got the 3 living pieces. I couldn't represent the daily things and everything on one spread, but it's got the 3 pillars, which I really love building my things with 3, because it's just what I like to do. So we have the part where I look at the season as a whole, spring, summer, fall, or winter. The card where I look at the individual season for the Wheel of the Year season, or the individual card for the Wheel of the Year season. Ostara, Beltane, Litha, Lammas, Mabon, Samhain, Yule, and Imbolc. And then we look at the daily. So I don't like the astrology. It's just kind of a thing on my mind that I like to add the layer of, so that way I can contemplate. And I just tend to get random thoughts about it, random ideas, rather random insights, but I'm not really actively using it to plan so much at this time. I'm using it, well, and I did have a thing with Pisces season, I did my Pisces season reflections, where I was realizing, like, this time of the year, the winter doesn't have a lot for me necessarily going on, especially Imbolc season. Imbolc season is very much empty. I have nothing there. I have something in every other season, planets wise. That's these glyphs in here, remember? So I've got a bunch of stuff here in Beltane. I've got something, or a bunch of stuff here in Ostara. I've got something in Beltane. I've got several things here in Litha. But here, Lammas and Imbolc, I don't have anything. I have my moon in Mabon season. I have Pluto in Samhain season. I've got stuff here in Yule season. But this axis here, I don't have anything. So to me, that indicates a time of, like, perhaps a time of turning towards other sources to get some insights. I don't know. But I think that indicates that my energy will wane here, and I won't do, it'll be easier for me if I'm less active and if I don't set myself to do a bunch of stuff. And that makes sense, because August to September, I'm exhausted because it's so damned hot. And in winter, I just don't kind of want to do anything. These times of years are my physical not best times of years and my mental not best times of years. And then we have the daily component. If I end up determining once it comes time for Beltane season and I can actually, like, decide how I want the dailies to look, I will make sure to like check back in and let you know if I can, like, check back in and let you know if I, like, come up with a fancy spread. And if you enjoyed this, let me know. Are you interested, or would you be interested in seeing me do a video as the wheel turns? Taking you kind of along in the process. So, for example, I would do the next video on the Wheel of the Year series would be it would be released in May-ish, early May, end of April, and would be me, like, doing my Beltane reading, referencing it in here, and determining what I really need, what I really feel like I need to do spiritual work-wise, staying connected to my guides, my ancestors, my roots, that kind of a thing. And I can show you in that also how I do my daily reading. But the question is, like, I did this, as I said, I did this whole reading for Ostara, and I love how this page turned out. If you would be interested in seeing the process for Beltane, let me know in the comments down below, and I will consider doing that for you. But I'm going to leave it here for now, and I will talketh to you all later. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to let me know if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you can come on back nice and easily. In the comments down below, either way, please let me know what you thought of this video. Do you observe the Wheel of the Year? Do you have a favorite Wheel of the Year holiday? I would love to hear about it. I truly don't know which mine is, because they're favorites in very different kind of ways. Because the spring has a very significant feeling for me. The summer has a very different feeling. I feel the seasons extremely strongly. And I'd love to hear any thoughts you have on this kind of stuff for you in your practice. And that's it. And I guess I will let you go here. I will see you again very, very soon. Lots of love. Bye.